Let me type that in. You may find it there too. How you guys doing? It is Friday, April 29th, 2022 AD, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. Did I say? 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. And let's have a loosey-goosey Friday show. How about that? I'm wearing my United States Air Force t-shirt. More like the Hair Force. Am I right? Or is that bad? We're going to talk a little bit about these vulgar women. It's pretty disgusting. As in, like, gross. But I feel, I'm not sure if I want to, but I will cover it a little bit. The far left female run outlet, TheSkimm. I just want to show you how Satan they are. It's pretty sick. And I will be taking your calls. You may call in 888-775-3773, as well as covering some of the news, some of the little headlines that are going on out there in the world, out here. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying AJ Gallardo's original version of the Hake Report theme song, different from the version we play from Trevor Wesley Monday through Thursday. Shout out. And we're going to be talking about these women. They are out of control.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Nugget Man says, Hake, my offer still stands for next week. No devilish music. $100. Man. Oh. You know, I was thinking about, oh man, you guys, vulgar in the comments. I was thinking about some music for next month or the following that is devilish. But I may not do that. I may not do that. Says, but had. Good deal, take it, says Ragtag Army. Man, no, I like music too much to do that. I will stick to my principles. I will not forsake my principles just to get money. Right? But you can support on subscribestar.com/thehake report. I have not played music on my Subscribestar channel. I have thought about it, but I have not. Subscribestar.com/thehake report. And if you do go to if you go to jesseleepeterson.com/show, also known as jlptalk.com, let me see. You can indeed find Nick Stream there. Because Nick Stream is happening on Fridays, guys. And today is Friday. And it is Anchor Baby's new show, also known as Nick Stream. Better known as Nick Stream now. Very cool. Hake loves his devil music. Lord. You can call in 888-775-3773. Right here on the bottom right? Is that bottom left of the screen? My right hand, your left side, since you're facing me. Let's get some 90-pound wuss. It's a Christian band, even though that may not be a Christian word. before I get to calls, let me get this out of the way. Cover your minds, kids. Because this is gross, but it was just so shocking. I don't know if I have to share this, okay? So if I'm wrong, I don't know. But I saw this on the far-left female-run outlet, TheSkimm. I don't recommend you get your daily news from them, even though I do share daily news from them almost. The far-left female-run outlet, TheSkimm, reports, ICYMI, in case you missed it. National M-word month. Yes, this is going to be confusing for those of you who can't fill in blanks. For those of you with aphasia, as Lin Yun Shin says, you're going to have to fill in blanks because I'm blanking it out. I know it's obnoxious. I bleeped out when Will Smith's wife, if you want to call her that, talked about this very issue. Because her grandma taught her this blank when she was 9. So National M month, and I screenshotted it, but I also blanked out the bad words, which they're not even bad words, but they're too vulgar to repeat. National Big M Word Month kicks off this Sunday. Can you believe that? They actually made a national month out of this. Are you following? Hopefully not if you don't want to follow it, and hopefully you are if you want to be aware of just how evil these people are. And we've got a pretty good reason to celebrate. A recent study found having an blank, I can't even use the first letter of the word because even the first letter of the word is vulgar. Doesn't just, man, I can't even read this out loud. Release feel-good chemicals like endorphins and oxytocin. It also increases blood flow to your brain, which gives it a good workout, says these far-left females at TheSkimm. If you are looking for help getting things flowing, meet D-name companies, tiny but blank so mighty blank blank. I wonder how lost the listeners are here. I mean, the people who are looking at this may be able to fill in the blanks. It's got 5 unique patterns and, jeez, this is terrible, and intensity levels. I feel almost as vulgar as Nick's stream. The Nick stream. The Nick stream does not shy away from these topics. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he does. But he's showing some stuff. And geez, I can't even read this out loud. Flexes to your every move from the, you guessed it, palm of your hand. Plus, Skimm's giving 15% off with whatever. Brainer sizes, here we come. This is females. Are you able to follow what this is talking about, Chris? Yeah, he is. Do you want to help me out here? I'm drowning. I don't know if you have anything to say.
You're on your own, bro.
Terrible. Well, yeah. Yes, you got it, Dale Everdale. And it's women. And JLP has said, and I think it's true, that women who are doing this are becoming men, meaning mannish, not the good kind of becoming men. Because women are supposed to start to think more and more like men. Just read it, wuss, says Kevin Howe, with a different letter for the first word, for that word. No, I'm not going to read that. It's so gross, huh? And I think he's right that they are becoming sort of mannish. A mannish woman is not good. A manly woman, like a woman who becomes more thinking like a man, as in logical, honoring men, not hating men, like that, like JLP says, in the image of man. That's good, but this is deport pornographers, says Kevin Howe. That's more like it, buddy. Thank you. Hake, this is a family show. What the? Yeah, I know. Mannish is not good. What is Hake's super chat link, please? I will tell you. Super. It's streamlabs.com/The Hake Report or Odyssey, ODYSEE.com. How are you guys doing, Odyssey people? I had to reset my page. Yeah, Commander Kim is like throwing up. Shout out to Commander Kim. Throwing up rainbows. Taking care of business says, okay, I'm lost. What is the Skimm talking about? Not good. And they're promoting every kind of vulgar thing that you can think of. U.S. Air Force, a dad joke. Hake trying to tell us something? No. So, I don't know, if you're lost, you can thank me. If you're lost, you can thank me. How about that? Because you don't know it, but you don't want to know. Let's get to a call or two. How about that? Let me get to Jade, a first-time caller in Las Vegas, wants to talk about National M Day. Man, I'm taking a risk. The Big M. Anybody remember Lust Control? You ever heard of Lust Control, the Christian band? Lust Control. They had a song called The Big M. That's why I use it. Use that term.
That's pretty cringe, even for a Christian band.
Right. Right. I've thought many times about sharing their music. Maybe I will.
For a, nice nostalgia.
Right.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Could be very entertaining.
Right. Although it's not exactly child friendly, I think it's a good message. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Cringe doesn't necessarily mean
right.
You can't enjoy it for certain entertainment aspects.
Right, for sure. I mean, that's half my show is
so bad it's good.
Right. All right. Oh, man. Don't talk about that. Okay, so I've gave like a false start with Jade. Here is Jade from Las Vegas, Nevada, talking about National M Month. Terrible. How are you doing, Jade?
Hello, Hake. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great as well. Thank you.
Awesome. So I think this is very cringy, and what I feel like is this is just a way to misguide the masses. I've tried to tell some of my friends, don't be doing that, and don't watch certain, kind of content. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't watch that kind of stuff, because the women that are doing that are rooted in darkness, and they all have been abused, and it's just you're gaining some form of weird pleasure from watching people who are in a fallen state, in misery, and that can't be good for your soul.
Yeah.
So I just get very, creeped out because I see so many people and they argue. I mean, they argue with me that it's not bad and it's great and the girls doing that are great. And I'm just like, no, I've heard them talk in interviews and they say such terrible things. They get mistreated when they're doing stuff like that. And it's just just gross.
It really is. Yeah, and it's part of the shamelessness that is being brought into the world. Yeah. They're taking away the shame of everything evil and everything vulgar and perverted to make it
and people are losing.
Good. Say again?
People are losing sense of pride and being a person that has integrity. It's very weird.
And dignity. Because that's not really human. It's like, they say, oh, it's natural. Monkeys even do this stuff. So you're calling yourself an animal? Because these monkeys don't even look right. Not that I've seen them. But anyway.
Yeah, no, and human beings are the most different creatures on this planet. We are completely different from any of the rest of them. So we shouldn't be putting ourselves to their standards because they don't have the conscious ability to be aware. Right. So there is no comparison.
Yeah, one of the fruits of the Spirit, according to Galatians, whichever chapter that was that I read on the air, I think Monday right after, church, and we read from Galatians, maybe 13 or 5. One of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. And and this is it's not love, it's just selfishness. It's getting into selfishness. Degrading yourself, says C-Sal. Yeah. Terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Self-control you're taught to just release all of that and just do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it. That's why you're supposed to fast and pray and withhold yourself from things because it builds your spirit up.
Yeah, and I've noticed that even with like food and different things, when you refrain, like you gain more like more I don't know, you become a little bit more conscious.
You do.
Yeah.
And it allows you to be more in control of these emotions that are just turbulent and crazy. Like, I used to have really bad emotional problems, but then 2 years ago I started to fast. I stopped drinking. I stopped hanging out, going out. And ever since then, I'm amazed by the amount of control I have. I never even cry anymore. It's such a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah. Nice. That's cool. So you're becoming more like a man in the right way, more logical rather than more mannish.
Yeah, I don't want to be mannish.
Right.
I prefer to not be. Thank you, Hake.
Cool. Great to hear from you, Jade. Call me again sometime.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
All right. Bye. Oh, man. Okay, let me read a super chat or two here. Lin Yen Chin says, no, Lord Goodhair, aphasia is a language disorder. You mean aphantasia, which is like a phanta, as in fantasy, and zia, as in Asia. Aphantasia is inability to imagine. The first A means antithesis of the rest of the word, which is similar to fantasize. Okay, thank you, Lin Yen Chin. Appreciate that. Yeah, I had an inkling that I had gotten the word wrong, but I kind of ignored it, and then I lost track of what I was talking about. Aphantasia, not aphasia. Aphasia, isn't that what that poor guy from Die Hard has? Does he have aphasia? Die Hard guy, brain disorder. Bruce Willis. Yeah, he has aphasia. Bruce Willis was diagnosed according to the reports, right, with aphasia. A brain disorder caused by brain damage that makes communication difficult. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew I'd been introduced to a couple of these different A words ending in zia. Asia. Thank you, Lin Yan Chen. Appreciate the correction there. Let me get to Bobby in Texas. He has something normal to talk about. Move along, Hank. Bobby in Texas, thanks for calling. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you, man?
Doing well as well. Thank you.
Now, I want to give a quick shout out to my adoring fans over in Odyssey.
Are you on Odyssey as well, ever?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on Odyssey.
Right on, man.
Real quick, I got a few things to kind of bounce off you real quick. I'll try and move as fast as I can. So we've got Biden, the Bidenomics, if you will, like putting a real crush on America. And then you look at some of the main banking institutions of the world are finally pointing out the U.S. is headed for a 2023 recession, a significant recession.
Yeah, I heard that both Bank of America and Deutsche Bank say a recession could come as soon as next year. Yeah,
I've seen at least 3 big banking institutions mentioning it at this point. So those are also companies that are very, reluctant to report such things. They're not looking to push that kind of idea because they're in the business of making money, and they don't make money in recession. So they're on the side that really doesn't want to put that information out there. So with that, they're saying, they're also going to have a huge hit to the unemployment. They're going to say it's going to raise multiple digits in the coming year. So with
you said unemployment is going to rise again?
Yeah, it's going to rise at least 2 points or several points.
Wow.
So with that in mind, now we've got Joe Biden asking for $30 billion to send to Ukraine now.
$30 billion.
$30 billion to send over there after he's given them, $800 million every couple of weeks for the last, I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and that's
he's continued.
what's crazy is that's only feeding into more death and destruction, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I would say it's probably somewhat sending trafficking the money to move it around. I doubt the money's going where it's supposed to, especially giving it to some place like Ukraine, who's noticeably corrupt. Everyone knows they're corrupt, but we're just and the whole world's gonna funnel a bunch of money over there for no real reason.
Yeah.
So you've got that, and then what Biden's really worried about, this is something that's really filling his day, is I just read this morning that he's committing the sentences of convicts here in my area, which is people that are serving, not for stuff that's like, maybe he was innocent. No, he's doing it for hardcore drug dealers, like people that were selling cocaine, methamphetamines. He's committing their sentences just for, and there's really no reason. I don't understand any reason as to why, but that's what he's filling his days with, is finding ways to let these people out of prison.
This is a headline from WSOC TV. So-called President Biden commutes the sentences of 75 people. And CNN calls it 78 nonviolent people. Commute or pardon the sentences of 78 nonviolent people. And you're saying pardoning three felons, commuting the sentences of 75 others, first use of clemency powers. Wow.
And he's not letting out little peddly criminals, like marijuana charges or whatever. He's letting out hardcore drug dealers, people that were trafficking in methamphetamines, cocaine. It's like people that were really a detriment to the country as a whole. And he's just like, let's let them out of jail.
It's funny because they use words like low-level drug offenders, and words like that, nonviolent felons. Crazy.
It's they weren't in the cartel.
Yeah. Low level, as if that makes it fine. Oh yeah, they're fine. Some of them have like 4 years remaining, or within 4 years of remaining. He pardoned.
Yeah, they're still going to have to do their probation, he says, but they'll be able to serve the rest of their sentence from home. Yeah. So
USA Today says one of the people that he pardoned, supposedly the nation's first black Secret Service agent, was who was on a presidential detail, now 86 years old, living in Chicago, worked for decades to clear his name for a crime that he says he didn't commit. It's funny because the first black one is a convict. Crazy.
Well, it seems like a really great use of his powers there, and then to go along with all the hyperinflation that he's caused, the wasting money to Ukraine, and then now he's wanting another $30 billion. But we'll fill our day with allowing dangerous criminals out of prison. Yeah.
What a ridiculous thing, huh? Shameful.
Yeah, and yesterday you were talking about the prison exchange, and I was like panicking. I thought you were about to say that they were releasing Brittany Griner. I was like, oh my, she's in this, but then I realized you were just. She's their top priority. She's the one they want now.
Yeah, it's her, and then there's another guy named, I forget what his name was, but he looked like a middle-aged man of CIA. Was he a CIA guy or a Marine? I think it might have been a Marine, who's still over there, stuck too. But
yeah, I'm all fan of keep Brittany. Like, she didn't respect America when she was here. Like, she can stay in rotten Russian jail for all I care.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I mean, I don't know.
For the national anthem.
Wow, she was one of those, huh?
Yeah, she disrespected the country, and now she's, reaping the benefits of a communist society. See how much she likes it over there. It gives her a chance to see how the other half lives.
Right. Yeah.
So I say keep Brittany. Don't trade anything for her. We don't want her back. Like, she can go peddle her nonsense over there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But that's all.
Well, thank you, Bobby.
You, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right, have a good day.
You as well. Some more super chats. Let's see. Come to your phone gave a super chat and said, Hake, the subject for modern day debate should be, should America cease immigration? You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they had a discussion on an immigration moratorium already. Because that would be right up their alley, modern day debate. They talk about fun things and silly things and also real things. So that's a nice suggestion if they have not already. I think even if they have already, they should talk about it again. And I would be all for discussing it, or somebody else too. Single Mom gave a super chat and said, shout out to Asmodor and Brandon M. on Odyssey. They're the only relief I get out of a mandatory Bobby call. One of the adoring fans to whom he shouted out, does Linya and Chin use a thesaurus just to confuse people? Wonder how much they paid to have their sentences commuted. I don't know. I think there's a fake victim class that pretends, nonviolent drug offenders. New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, talked about, the president commuted the sentences of 75 nonviolent drug offenders. Drugs kill. Or they just kill your consciousness or conscience. In the case of the pot, because usually pot doesn't kill necessarily, right? It just kills your consciousness. Or the alcohol. But the alcohol is not a drug offense right now because they got rid of that thing, that prohibition thing. A 52-year-old male from Athens, Georgia, partnered with schools to employ youth at his cell phone repair company 2 decades after he was charged with letting pot dealers use his pool hall to sell drugs. So he got pardoned. A 51-year-old woman from Houston who served 7 years in prison for attempting to transport drugs for her boyfriend and accomplice, neither of whom faced charges. Whatever. Abraham Bolden Sr., Betty Jo Bogans, and Dexter Eugene Jackson received presidential pardons Tuesday from Sleepy Joe Biden, along with 75 others who had their sentences commuted. The first clemency power of the Biden presidency. Almost said pregnancy. You know, the Biden economy, it's basically the Obama economy all over again, destroying the economy by way of the so-called Affordable Care Act and all kinds of stuff. What a mess. And expanding the EPA type of thing. Let me talk briefly about this. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that turned, what river did they turn orange with their mess? And the environmentalism. Here in California, they have like the South Coast AQMD, something like that, that limits the number of solids that can be in your clear coat and paints and things like that, spray, varnish and all that. They have, because of their environmentalism, I was talking about yesterday, they have not even built a major reservoir here in California, despite our population exploding and us trying to still farm and stuff like that in an arid climate. They have limited us from, they being the Democrats who are running the state, who are environmentalists, including Jerry Brown Jr. They've not built new reservoirs, or built up the reservoirs that we have. I guess they can build them up or something. Even though they got major money for it, even as recently as 2014, 8 years later, still nothing, as far as I know. And then when they call it a drought, we have droughts here, right? But because we are men who are supposed to subdue the earth, we're supposed to not have a water crisis, even though we have a drought. We don't have to suffer a water crisis because we've planned ahead and we've built ahead and we've prepared and we have reservoirs and stuff like that. But no, we have a water crisis. So everybody feels it and they say, oh, it's climate change. So the more they fail, the more they lick their chops and say, you need us to swoop in and fight climate change. The environmentalists cause the problem and exacerbate more problems, and then they swoop in with more, blame the problem on something else, and swoop in with more false solutions to cause even more problems. Endless failure. That's why I think that they didn't like Trump. They had people, Trump had people working, and he was an environmentalist of sorts himself, except he was more logical about it, rather than communist about it, and hating whites and pretending that blacks are victims of climate change. And he was effective. They don't like that. They don't like effectiveness. So they cause the problems, and then they swoop in with their false solutions and blame man-made climate change. But it's their own failure. I hear the wildfires were their problem too. Wildfires, they didn't clean up the ground brush or something like that, right? Shout out to Facebook. Facebook crew, are you there? Let's see. Yep, the Facebook crew I believe is there. Lisa says, Brittany made bad choices and is living with the consequences. That's life. I know, you don't want to just be all free in a country that's not free. What a mess. Anyway, let me get to Art in Ohio. Art in Ohio, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing, Hake?
Doing well, thank you.
First thing first, you know what I know about the ones that they in control of. I'm walking outside, so they in control of. You said the wildfires and stuff. Well, most of them they liberals or whatnot, and they come from Democratic homes or whatnot, where the moms is being running the homes, or they're single females or whatnot, and they don't tend to have their kids active. They don't want them going out and playing football or being too rough. They want them to sit in the house so they can watch them all day and baby them and stuff. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of that comes from being lazy. Like when I was a kid, I used to have to go to the summer with my grandpa, and he had me out there raking leaves and out there doing manly work and stuff. A lot of these females raising these kids, and so these kids ain't getting that type of physical action in their life, so they grow up being lazy and dependent on everybody else to help them.
Right.
Second thing, so my second thing is talking about the little caller that called. I think it wasn't Russ. Russ told Jesse he needed to come a little softer, and I disagree. No, Jesse need to stay how he is.
Right.
I like Jesse's rough edge, and I wouldn't change Jesse and how he talk or whatnot. And just like Jesse said, he's not here to reach everybody. He's only here to reach the twos and the fews or whatnot. And if you don't get the message wasn't meant for you to get.
Yep.
Long story. Second is the dude from Maryland. He was talking about his mom is she's a Democrat or whatnot. Can you still hear me good, Hake?
Yep.
You can hear me now?
I hear you fine.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, what my thing is with the Democrats or whatnot is, if I'm a Republican, if my mom's a Democrat, she's like Nancy Pelosi, that's all fine and dandy and whatnot. I'm not gonna hate her, and I'm not gonna disassociate and cut myself off from her or whatnot and be like, that ain't my mom or whatnot. But what I have noticed about these liberal Democratic females or whatnot, if they find out that if I'm her son and I'm a Republican, I like Trump, they seem to be like, I don't like that or whatnot, and she seems to want to disassociate. They seem to like to disassociate their self from their kids or whatnot. And that's what gets me is, couldn't no politician or no politics disassociate from my son or my daughter, any kids of mine. And that's how far gone these people are. They letting their beliefs and their politics rip their families apart. And that lets you know how evil they are.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was losing all my friends on, by Facebook, when I was posting a lot on Facebook during the Obama administration, I was like, this is insane. And so I got to do something. So I kind of panicked and started posting on Facebook my disagreements. And it wasn't like I was wrong in what my disagreements were, but I may not have been going about it the right way. But people literally just freaked out and cut me off, blocked me, all kinds of crazy overreactions to my my reaction may have been an overreaction, but they overreacted to my overreaction. So it was crazy. And people do that even with sane disagreeers, people who are just, Jesse Lee has spoken at Junior State of America years ago now when he was assaulted by this Obama-supporting woman who was one of the leader teacher people at Junior State America. These are like high schoolers who are into politics and debate. Jesse Lee comes up and says, victims are pathetic, Obama was evil, liberals lie, and liberals come up with statistics and they lie with statistics. And the people freaked out over it. He said the LGBT thing, they went crying and hiding in the bathroom. And they were supposed to, the guy who invited us promised us that he would give us a recording of it. But he never responded after that. I guess because he faced such an overreaction that he too and he was like a conservative guy who liked Jesse, he too even cut us off over it. So even the sane people, even the sensible, moral people who disagree with evil are getting cut off by family and friends and even like work associates who make a deal with you. They can't even hold up their deals. It's wild.
What very wild and what gets me is it's like they don't understand how evil that is. Like,
yeah, I know.
I can understand, keeping your distance from somebody or whatnot. But these idiots are actually cutting their people off.
Yeah.
Like, let's use my mom for example.
Uh-huh.
Me and her had a little disagreement or whatnot, and I might have said some little harsh words or whatnot. But when I was a kid, she said harsh things to me all the time or whatnot.
Right.
That's the environment. That was the environment I grew up in. So as I got older, it was just a thing of the family. We throw harsh words back and we suck it up. But it's like, when it comes to the politics, I say some harsh words or whatnot as far as with politics. Oh, now she wants to disassociate herself. She want to be all tough and stern and hold grudges. That's what gets me. You holding grudges with me over politics,
right?
Or whatnot.
That's why you actually go ahead. Go finish your point.
Go ahead.
Well, that's why women shouldn't even.
Go ahead.
Women shouldn't even concern their pretty little heads about politics. And
point exactly.
And maybe you shouldn't even like discuss politics with your mother, or if she wants to cut you off, fine, let her go. You're probably better off for it, honestly.
Well, I know I'm cool. See, the thing is, because I've been by myself. I've been staying by myself for like the last year and a half. So I don't know. I got rid of that little mommy energy and being dependent and living with a female and stuff like that. So I'm way past that. No, what just gets me is it just goes back to it. It just amazes me how females are so easily able to cut their kids off with stuff they shouldn't even be concerning themselves with, which is politics.
Yeah.
Let alone the fact that y'all don't know nothing about politics or whatnot. So the second thing is the third thing is for you to know anything about politics, you would have had to go back into history and play a part in history. And y'all didn't play part in none of the history as far as with the founding fathers, with the Revolutionary War, any of that. All that was only time y'all started putting y'all's hands in anything was in the 1960s. What happened to the 1800s? Y'all just now came around and know. So that's what gets me is you got a lot of these people, especially females, which is Democrats. Democrats is pushing female agendas or whatnot, where they want control. It's all about control. That's why you see, put the mask on, take the mask off. That's all it is, a female control thing.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know if you caught the beginning of my show, but I was talking about how they're promoting this. These women at the far-left female-run outlet, TheSkimm, are promoting this so-called self-pleasure type of mess, and everything that they're for is sick, it's perverted, it's evil. But you're so right. And then they're getting all involved like they know what's right and what's wrong. It's gross.
Yeah. Well, what about this? Did you hear switching subjects? And I was listening to this one dude. He was saying that Islam is they worship a rock, and then said something about that their God is a transgender. Did you hear? Have you ever heard that before?
I have never heard that. A Muslim saying about his own religion that they worship a rock and that their God is transgender?
Yep, that's what I heard. I was listening to something.
I never heard that
yesterday. Well, yep, that's what I mean. I ain't for sure now. That's why I ran it past you or whatnot. But that's one of the little things that came across. But I wouldn't doubt it, especially with all the stuff that's going on in America nowadays. I wouldn't put nothing past nothing or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
But go
I don't
ahead.
know if you ever find that. Let me send it over to me if you can. If you find where you heard that.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Take care, Art.
All right, catch you later. Yes,
right.
sir. Catch you later, bud.
Bye.
All right.
I saw it's not exactly a super chat, but I'll just call it a super chat. What's up, Malkuth X? He asks, Hake, is it evil to intentionally try? You're split in infinitive, buddy. It's supposed to say to try. But nowadays, I guess split infinitives are fine. The infinitive is to try, right? But if you split the infinitive to intentionally try, you're splitting the infinitive, and that's, correct me if I'm wrong, grammar Nazis. I don't think that's correct. But now I guess it's acceptable because our language has become such a mess. Is it evil to intentionally try to trigger/troll people? I guess if that's your intention, yeah. It is evil at times to do that, for sure. There's a time for everything, right? You may say stuff knowing that it may do that, and that's not evil, because if it's the right thing to say, and you're saying it with the right spirit, and then it's not evil. But you definitely can be evil in saying stuff to intentionally try to make people angry. Or bring out their anger. It can be evil, for sure. Definitely. A lot of people do that. They get an ego kick out of making people mad. You don't want to fall into that, because then you're not really fighting for what's right. You're just spreading evil rather than spreading, even with the so-called truth. Lisa says aphasia leads to difficulty to understand and communicate. Wow. Well, I wish that diehard guy well. Geronimo over there on Odyssey says Western culture is freedom of speech, freedom to defend yourself, and the freedom to be innocent unless proven guilty. Or she says until proven guilty, but that presumes that you will be proven guilty, so it's unless proven guilty. I say. Christians who do not allow again that an innocent man will be crucified. Yeah. I didn't quite, the sentence, Christians that do not allow again that an innocent man, oh, okay, that's what Western culture is. Christians who will not allow that an innocent man be crucified again. Interesting. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. You know what? Let me tell you more. Another thing from the far left female-run outlet, TheSkimm. Interesting point, Matt. Living the dream. I see he has an interesting chat. I'll tell you about it in a sec. But over at the far left female-run outlet, TheSkimm, I told you one vulgar thing that they're promoting. Here's another vulgar thing that they are promoting, and it's so wrong. They delight women, you'll notice, delight in men turning into women, girly, and women turning mannish. They delight in women turning mannish, meaning like all self-indulgent and disgusting. And they delight in men becoming female-minded. This is an article out a couple days ago from the far-left female-run outlet, TheSkimm, which probably you never heard about until I started talking about it. Ryan, one of the guys who used to be the creative director, he was the creative director here at Bond. He told me about TheSkimm. It's like targets towards women. So I don't know how he came across it. But I've been a daily email listener of it ever since. This is a this is the headline. I never got to be a girl growing up. And this person who calls, I say himself, Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, I guess that's his real name, Dylan. I don't know. On sharing his transition journey on TikTok. And it has a picture of this dude who's obviously a dude. Even though he has like this girly hair cut and girly clothes. And is he missing an arm? Is he one of those people who was born with very tiny limbs and messed up shoulders, or is that just a weird picture? What do more than 2 million TikTok users have in common? They're following Dylan Mulvaney, a trans so-called actress, meaning actor, comedian and content creator. March 12th, Dylan began his Day of Girlhood video series, documenting his journey after coming out as a so-called transgender woman, which doesn't exist. It's a dude who feels like a woman, right? Followers have watched Dylan dude. Dare I read this? Buy tampons for other women. Try yoga for the first time as a so-called woman, but it's a dude. Learn about his zodiac sign. Meaning not Christian. You know those people who are those people who are into their zodiac sign because they're not Christians, or they're leftover Christians who've just given up on that stuff, but they're into the horoscope stuff. Isn't that what zodiac is? Are you a Cancer? Are you a Capricorn? Are you a Taurus? Are you a whatever? What's your sign? They're getting more and more into the secularization. And then they get more, what is that called? They get instead of you reap what you sow, they're into karma. Karma has infected even some of the Christians, that notion. Fast forward to today, this Dylan person shared what it's like to be a so-called girl nearly 2 months. This is the female-run outlet, TheSkimm, talking about this dude who's turned into a wannabe girl. Look, sorry, kids, cover your eyes. Sorry, adults, look at that guy. Cute little boy no, those are normal shoulders. What the heck? Just a normal, somewhat handsome, I guess. Maybe slightly effeminate. Okay, more than slightly. Dude, before pictures, and then after, it's like wannabe Bruce Jenner, so-called Caitlyn Jenner. And this journey is happening amidst the anti-LGBTQ plus legislation getting passed and introduced in the United States. This year alone, 28 states are discussing bills targeting the LGBT. Look at that. Oh, terrible. Don't look at that. Screenshot from day 38 of so-called girlhood. That's obviously a dude, man. I mean, anyway. Doesn't look right. No! This is worse than the snake bite black finger of Wesley from The Princess Bride that I showed. Remember how I was reacting to that? This is worse than that. Cover your eyes, kids. "28 states discussing bills targeting LGBTQ plus so-called community." It's not a community. It's freedoms. It's not freedom. It's you're sinking into degeneracy, slavery, spiritual slavery. Another eight states signed measures into law. Fear and outrage surrounding measures like Florida's so-called "Don't Say Gay" law, which doesn't even go far enough. It only supposedly protects kids kindergarten through 3rd grade. But after that, free reign. You can push that on them. Basically. Pretty gross. Keeping it real and vulnerable. Yeah, they love males being vulnerable and turning into fake girls. So wrong. What a shame. And they pretend that they're supporting this young man, and I'm using the term man loosely. They pretend that they're supporting this, but I'm supporting him. by not being support, Hake gets paid by plugging TheSkimm every time. That's not true, man. And he said with something other than money. Looks like Voldemort, says Lord Luca. I wouldn't know. I wasn't into those movies. Harry Potter. So they do this whole interview with this guy, and it's sick. I guess I've said all there is to say, but there's 3 women who came up with this article, I guess. Welcome trans people into your spaces, says this guy. Hire trans people, so-called. You take a risk with that. Supporting organizations on the ground efforts to change our government. Give a little love. That's not love, dude. To a trans person in your life. I'm giving a little love to this Dylan, what's his name? Mulvaney. I was gonna guess Mulvaney. I just wasn't positive. In your life, because the struggles are so different, and yet we are all going through something. Yeah, I'm giving you a little love because Dale Everdale says something that's not loving, right? Isn't that love? Isn't that love saying, no, that's dude. That's what a child did with the emperor the emperor has no clothes. You guys know that story. I told that story before. This emperor in this fictional tale, briefly retell this emperor has no clothes. This emperor in this tale that I learned when I was in grade school, elementary school. We called it elementary school. And I saw even a cartoon of it. He encountered these merchants. And these merchants were very cunning and tricksters, like so many merchants are. Am I right? Not Christians, probably. Certainly not Christian in the way they behaved with this emperor. And this emperor probably the emperor was black. Never mind. It's not to be confused with the Emperor's New Groove. No, the Emperor's New Clothes. The trick was that there were no clothes. The tricksters said, only the pure of heart can see these clothes. These clothes are the most beautiful things. Other people who are not pure of heart misleading merchants others who are not pure of heart will not be able to see these clothes. That's how beautiful they are. Only the purest people can see. A false imitation. Is there any echo in the studio? A false imitation of truth, right? Because the pure in heart will see God. But no, this is people who are imitating God, like Satan. Thanks, Hake. I have herpes now, says Steph K. And so the emperor said, like, I can't really see these clothes, but he didn't want to be outed as being impure of heart, so he pretended to see them. And he showed his new clothes, which he wasn't wearing any. Maybe he was wearing underwear, right? But he showed his new clothes to all the people, and all the people were like, ooh, ah. And then a little boy is like, I think it was a boy. Would have been. The emperor has no clothes. And then everybody realized, oh yeah, their eyes were opened, and it took away the shame of telling the truth. But nowadays, if the little boy says it, all the people will, I'm laughing at the merchants. Echo. All the people will jump down the throat of the little boy and crucify the little boy. That's the real thing, but some people will wake up to the truth. Very nice. Did I recount the Emperor's New Clothes sufficiently for you? There was some Disney movie that was the Emperor's New Groove, which confirms that the Emperor was black, right? No, I haven't seen the movie, but blacks are frequently the suckers who fall prey to the mischaracterizations, the lies of the merchants, urchins. Although whites do it too, you know. It's just different. Everybody's a sucker. Blind leading the blind. Blind misleading the blind. Anyway, here's a few more headlines from TheSkimm that they're pushing out, because they push this stuff. They push total lack of dignity on men. Everywhere is Queer's founder made. Everywhere is Queer has a founder made the LGBTQ plus map that you need for the travel season. Gross. Young people are listening. Words matter, says Trevor Project CEO on anti-LGBTQ laws. Trevor Project is a wolves in sheep's clothing organization that pretends to want to stop, or maybe they emotionally want to stop young people from committing suicide because the LGBTQ plus people, the transgenders, homosexuals, so-called transgenders, these are not real things. Because they're so deluded, they know that they're wrong, but they're out of control. And they're more likely to commit suicide because they are wrong. But they pretend that it's bullying. Bullying drives them to suicide. Well, bullying is part of the weakness, and the bullied is part of the weakness. Two sides of the same coin, but they want to go anti-bullying. It's kind of like they want to deal with the man who's so wrong, but they're not actually dealing with him right, and then ignore that the woman is wrong too when men and women fight. So they're wolves in sheep's clothing who want to prop up LGBTQ plus madness as right, and yet still not commit suicide. So they want to live longer, wronger. So evil. So sick. Why Florida's Don't Say Gay bill is just the tip of the iceberg. I hope so, because that Don't Say Gay bill is like weak. It's funny, the CNN will always call it controversial. Anything that's inching into the range of sensibility, they call it controversial. Controversial new bill means it doesn't go far enough. But it's not controversial because it doesn't go far enough. It's controversial because they pretend that it's extreme. That's why you don't necessarily embrace anybody just because they're under attack from the left, attack from the evil people, because those people are oftentimes they're dumb liberals too, or dumb rhinos too. Remember Kavanaugh? Kavanaugh is a rhino. You support what's right still. I'm glad he got in, I guess. Justice Kavanaugh. He was accused of rape. Justice Kavanaugh, you can't even picture him. He couldn't rape a fly. Not that anybody would want to do that. Anyway, that's that on that. We are getting close to the top of the hour. How about some music? Would you like some music? I want to play some more Frog Eyes. Frog Eyes. I have finished the Golden River. I finished what I was going to play from the Golden River. So now we are going to Ego Scriptor. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. Ego Scriptor, which I guess is Latin for I am the writer. It is a Frog Eyes album from 2004 on Absolutely Kosher Records. Great label. Back in the day, anyway. In my opinion. And I am always right. My opinions are fact. This is a song originally seen on the Golden River, which I played for you earlier this week, I think. Or maybe last week. This is track 4 from Ego Scriptor. It is a, what do you call it? Acoustic album of sorts, done just by the singer, if you want to call him that, or vocalist, if you prefer, of Frog Eyes, called Kerry Mercer. He wrote these songs, and he is playing them more like stripped down. So, masticated outboard motors. Mastication is not a dirty thing. It means chewed. Chewed up outboard motors. Enjoy, or press mute, or grin and bear it, you musical Philistines, or go shovel snow or rake leaves, because we're going to play Masticated Outboard Motors by Frog Eyes. And I'll be right back for hour 2. Hang tight, guys.
Is it charter without mates while the beaches are cold? Set their branches so they burn like gold, and bold sensations for the broken house urchins by their shows. I thought about it, fairies and bowlers, and maybe we're headed for the bottom frozen frozen lake of sons of divorce. I feel my kind speeding blood up on night's star. What for, dear? What for, Vanishka? Tell me what for. Oh, the lines will blow your feathers right for the birthday. Oh, I fought the radar. I fought the radar. Well, the city that you love is a magistrate of nightmare. Famous lakes. So we burnt the back seats. We burnt the back seats. Oh, the line, the river sinking, set upon where your face. I fought the radar. I fought the radar. Well, all up all the backs of breakers. Anybody you're thinking of? We built the cities. We built the cities. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, mastication. We hate the front lines. We hate the front lines. So we hate them. Oh, mastication. We hate the front lines. We hate the front lines. We hate them. Oh, mastication. We hate the front lines. We hate the front lines. Oh, we hate them. Oh, mastication. We hate the front lines. We hate the front lines. We hate them.
What a vibe. Am I right? What a vibe. So good. So good. Hake, this sounds like a monk lit himself on fire. Burned the vaccines? I disavow. Is that something, was that a line? Just say a couple of things. All right. Because I still have to read some other chats. I need 5 songs of Frog Eyes to forget that mess that you showed us, Hake. Barf. I mean, throw up face. This is the worst Hake has ever played, says Bumbo Clat Boingo _Boingo. Wow, that's impressive. At this rate, I don't know if I want Hake to read a trans story or play his music. Both are bad. Maybe his music will scare away the patients. Hake music is the best music. That's kind. Don't do this to us, Hake. Usually I like Hake's music, but Frog Eyes is terrible. Oh, Lord, Hake. That song makes my Canadian heart sad, says Zenny. This is Canadian music. Victoria, Canada, by the way. That sounded like a dog raping a cat. Sorry, kids. I couldn't help but read that one out loud. Wonder what Maze thinks of Frog Eyes. Yeah. Tim Scott says, I just finished masticating breakfast. Terrible. It doesn't sound right. Sorry, kids. We become emasticated by listening. Man, you guys are so bad. This song makes me throw up and use the bathroom on myself all at once. Come on, guys. Toughen up. It sounds like a man using his manly voice. And I may be completely wrong. Carey Mercer, C-A-R-E-Y, Mercer, is the vocalist, the singer, the writer, ego scriptor, he wrote. And they came out with another album just yesterday, I heard. Frog Eyes. They got back together. Nice. They're huge. It's the next big thing, guys. You heard it here first. Quick super chat from the Odyssey says, Brandon M says, if Auschwitz happened, what do you mean if? I'm sure it sounded like this. You think so? You think those people sounded like that? Those workers? You know, it does sound like a working man wailing as he's whistle while you work. We hate the front lines. So good. How do you send a super chat in here? Ask Geronimo. It's sort of tricky. You may have to connect your account or something. I'm not sure. Ask the people on Odyssey. Dr. Fauci is waiting to vaccinate you before going into physical hell. Kids don't do drugs. La la la. Fairies and boulders in frozen lakes. Sons of divorce. Well, guys, I appreciate you bearing with me through the Frog Eyes music. Shall I continue playing Frog Eyes for you next week? Let's not live in the future. I may, because I really like the Ego Scriptura album. It's like 11 songs or something. I'll skip some of them, and it's only 25 minutes long, the whole album. I think 11 songs. So, you know, I got this call yesterday from, who's my friend? Rick. Rick in Hampton, Virginia, asking about the student loan borrowers. The far-left female-run outlet TheSkimm is reporting, and we've heard about this over time. Yesterday, Sleepy Joe Biden said he's considering so-called forgiving, as if it's his to forgive. Give me a break. Talking about playing God. Forgiving student loan debt, as if he was the one who personally loaned out that money. Give me a break. But not to expect $50,000 per person. There are 43 million federal student loan borrowers. Wow. Estimated 85% of young Americans want the government to take action. Yeah, I mean, I bet they do. On the campaign trail, Sleepy Joe Biden promised to erase $10,000. But he's facing pressure from Democrats to bump up that check. So he's postponed student loan payments, though, instead, till the end of August because of the China virus, right? Oh, the China virus, you can't work. You young, healthy people who exploited college funds, college loans, and haven't paid them back. Ridiculous. Now he says Sleepy Joe is taking a hard look. Yeah, right. Nothing hard about that guy. He's weak. At whether there will be any sort of additional so-called forgiveness. It's not forgiveness. He could be giving Americans an answer within weeks. Republicans criticizing Sleepy Joe for even considering more forgiveness. Mitt Romney, the carpetbagger to Utah, he's the rhino. He's against it, so I don't know if I should be for it or against it. Called it a bribe leading up to the midterms. Yeah, I bet. It is a bit of a bribe. I saw Scott Adams tweet, like yesterday or today, that don't call it forgiveness. This is transferring the debt from the guilty, meaning the dumb students who took the bribe and didn't pay it back. Bribe, if you will, right? And transferring it to the innocent, so-called innocent, if anybody's innocent, right? We shouldn't even be funding education. We should defund education. And in fact, I saw this tweet from, who's that guy, Massey? Michael Massey? I think it was, let me see. He wanted to get rid of the Department of Education? He wanted to get rid of something. It's over here somewhere. Hang on, bear with me. Bureaucrats in D.C., says Thomas Massey, shouldn't be deciding, he tweeted this yesterday, what your children learn at school. My bill, H.R., House Resolution 899, is only one sentence long. The Department of Education shall terminate December 31st, 2022. Well, thank you, Thomas Massey of Kentucky, representative. I don't really see it happening, but I appreciate the sentiment. And maybe it's a good thing to get that out there. It's not like it took a lot of time and effort to put that out there. Because you need to, like, wake people up and sell this thing. Because I think I think that Reagan was supposed to get rid of the Department of so-called Education. Did you know? But he didn't do it. I don't know why he didn't do it, but there were things that Trump, our greatest president in our lifetime, that's just reality. That's just a fact. At least my lifetime, that I know of. I've only been paying attention really since Clinton, Obama. Well, a little bit with Bush, the daddy. He was supposed to get rid of things too and do things, but he wasn't. He either wasn't able to or didn't hop to it. We cut them some slack, right? We don't know. We don't know what's really going on. It's hard to say. But yeah, get rid of the Department of so-called Education. But even the states are getting corrupted, and they've been corrupted for a long time. And that's why this CRT thing is, in my opinion, this anti-CRT stuff is kind of too little too late, although I appreciate the feeble attempts, you know? Even though I grant that they are indeed feeble. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let me read this little comment from Matt, living the dream. Says, you won't be judged by what goes into your mouth, but for what comes out of it. Yeah. Yep. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so when you listen to the Black Hebrew Israelites, they'll be like, you will bow. Salute. You will bow. Or what did they say? We are the real. As one of my callers said, they are flesh heads. They're all into their blackness, but they don't call themselves black. What comes out of it makes you unclean. It's true. And it's funny. Apparently, this little story is making the rounds. Martin Blank gave a chat. Hake, have you read BuzzFeed's 25 rules for being black? No, I have not read all 25, but I did see them. I did see them yesterday. It was shared with me by a, I don't know, by a super chatter. I think it was Brandon M. Rules. No, unwritten rules. What are they? Unwritten. Anyway, I did read a few of those and it's basically, though these blacks are suffering so bad, they will have to be extra nice. They have to be extra nice in order not to come off as an angry black woman, or not to be followed around in stores and dumb stuff like that, or have your license and registration out so you don't reach for the glove box because blacks disproportionately kill cops. Blacks disproportionately rob stores. Blacks disproportionately snatch purses. So blacks, don't be taking it personally when the women clutch their purse around you, because a whole lot of you disproportionately snatching the purses, jumping the people. Give me a break. I'm upset because a woman clutched her purse in front of me. Talk about how weak are you? But that's the arrogance. That's the false ego, right? Give me a break. We'll physically assault you, but you clutch your purse. Please. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. In fact, I saw this little headline. The Koreans are still distrustful. The Asians and all them are still distrustful of the blacks to this day. Even, how many years has it been? 30 years almost?
To this day.
30 years since the LA riots. I see this like photograph from the 90s of like a building that's been reduced to rubble. And it looks like there might still be like a little fire going and just smoke and soot. And you see all these beautiful palm trees in the background. You see this Asian guy with the 90s clothing on and 90s shoes surveying the damage of this store, presumably. It was burned down. Koreans incurred 40% of the roughly $1 billion in property damage, and that was a lot back then. during the L.A. riots. I think that was the Rodney King riots, because there have been multiple riots. There were the Watts riots down a little further south, I think. And distrust remains 30 years later in the between blacks and Asians. Of course. And multiple different mainstream media outlets have covered this. The NBC News covered it. Yahoo News shared it. Los Angeles Slimes covered it. The aftermath of the LA riots cuts deep. And it has all these Asians writing these articles, by the way. Asian so-called reporters, females many times. 429, April 29th, 1992 was the first day of the LA riots. And now we're at April 29th, 2022, 30-year anniversary of the LA riots. One of the LA riots, right? Crazy. Psychological scars run deep. It was a jury acquitted. There was a jury that acquitted 4 white cops who beat that black motorist who was on PCP and huge and had driven led them through a high-speed chase through a neighborhood. Rodney King. Can't we all just get along? 6 days later, more than 50 people would be dead after 429. They call it Seigu or Saigu, the Koreans. 429. 6 days later, more than 50 people would be dead and 3,000 businesses destroyed or looted, nearly half of which were Korean-owned. Damages about $1 billion. And back then, $1 billion was more than $1 billion is today, right? I guess. I assume. 15% of college-age Koreans in LA dropped out of school because of the riots. LA Times reported in 1993. Memorial 429 Seigu, they call it, has become almost like a memorial for Korean Americans, says Connie Chung Jo. Asian Americans advancing justice. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Feeling so targeted and so abandoned. Because they want to be against the whites together with the blacks against the whites. I know, let's not forget the riots from Black Lives Matter. Not just the Watts riots, but generally it's been the blacks. And the Hispanics, let's not forget that. I think the Hispanics were disproportionately rioting and looting. They did a lot of the looting in the LA riots, is what I heard. Hispanics. So, interestingly, they leave that out of this story, I think. Widening racial wealth inequality escalated the long simmering tensions between black and Korean Americans in LA. Korean immigrants owned many businesses in impoverished majority black neighborhoods, became the target of growing class resentment. Ridiculous, huh? Six Korean and black organizations, black and yellow, including AAAJ, Advancing Justice, so-called, LA Urban League, Korean American Coalition, hosting a peace gathering. A peace gathering. Let's come together and just hate white people, not each other. Like that's going to work. Yeah, Mexicans were rioting like 90 going north. Shameful. There was one time, back in 91, a Korean shopkeeper killed a 15-year-old Latasha Harlins and received probation. Probably understandable. Don't know the specifics of that story, but there is conflict, right? And they talked about the rooftop Koreans. Remember the rooftop Koreans with Uzis? Those automatic, I think they're automatic. You're not supposed to have full auto, but I guess when it's a time of riot, it's a time of basically war. They had their Uzis and other types of guns. He graduated in 91. I was like, what, 10? 9? 10? Yeah, the difference is a pin. Well, I know there are semi-automatic Uzis. They put a pin in and then it's semi-auto. Something like that. Based Koreans, huh? What a mess. But they were trying to protect their businesses. And we didn't even let those people in. You know, with that Immigration Act of 1965, that's when the Koreans took over that part of LA. When JLP first arrived in LA in the mid-60s, I want to say, or early 60s, it was beautiful, white. There were a lot of blacks. But then the blacks moved to the south, meaning literally to the south of the United States, right? Let's see, that way. East and south, right? And the Hispanics moved in, and the Asians took over and called this place Koreatown, that area right over there. What a mess, huh? Such a sick thing. Distrust between blacks and Koreans. They're not for what's right. Oh yeah. Okay, here's this segment. Shall I finish this 25 unwritten rules? I started it yesterday, but I didn't read the whole thing. Brandon Ems gave me the link again. Black people are sharing the rules. It's from BuzzFeed, but shared by Yahoo News. Black people are sharing the rules they follow that most white people don't even know about, and this is so important. And it's just a bunch of tweets from mostly anonymous people, seemingly, and they're lies a lot. Said, one of them was, no matter how angry you get, you try and remain calm. If you raise your voice even a little, regardless of what you say or how you say it, you are instantly labeled an angry black woman and judged wrongly, even when you're right. Well, you may be right, but you're also an angry black woman. You are angry. Even that tweet shows that you are angry, said this anonymous person. I'm assuming that most of these were tweets. They were submissions from their black readers, right? So they did this whole post, 21 unwritten rules that black people follow every day. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. As a black woman, it's frustrating to see black women are seen as angry, aggressive, combative, and or difficult. When disagreeing about something, my white peers are seen as passionate, energetic, and spirited debaters. It's disappointing, unfair, and can have a serious impact on one's career. You don't need a career. Don't worry your pretty little head. Right? It's a fact. My mother taught me always ask for a bag and receipt, no matter how small the purchase, or you can be accused of stealing because you steal a lot. Maybe not you personally, but a lot of you people steal. There was a funny story that I heard when I was in college, at a Christian college. There was one black guy in my art class, and the art director, the head of the chair of the art department, would always tell this story, and I'll laugh, because this one black guy apparently told him the story that his dorm room mate, when he first came to this college, this Christian college, his dorm room mate asked him, "Do you steal?" And he thought that was so funny, meaning the art teacher. The black guy wasn't really laughing anytime he told that story. And later on, I'm like, that's just understandable that he would ask you, do you steal? Because blacks disproportionately steal. And you're a young black. And he's kind of from the hood, if his biography video thing is accurate. But no, they want to resent the whites for feeling suspicious toward blacks because so many times they do steal. As a black man, my father taught me, this is number 3, I told this one to you yesterday. When being pulled over by the police, pull your insurance and registration out of the glove box. Keep it ready on your seat. That way you don't have to reach into the glove box when the cops are at your window. After teaching my sons to drive, and after they got their licenses, I had to teach them how to handle police if they get pulled over so they're not deemed a threat and make it home alive. Because so frequently blacks act out of control and resist, give all kinds of attitude, go for the gun, go for the taser. 40% of cop killers are black, I told you yesterday. Understandably, we be jumpy. We being the cops, right? As a black woman in a predominantly white area, This is the one I think Chris said is not real, and he's right. As a black woman in a predominantly white area, I make a point of approaching staff first in stores when I walk in. I ask an innocuous question in a friendly, high-pitched voice. Even if I don't need anything, they seem to feel safer around me and do not follow me around when I do that first. Okay, lady. As a black woman, I usually keep my college jacket in the car. I have to go to the emergency room. I'll receive better treatment if doctors say that I have a higher education. This is just in their imagination. I'm from Louisiana, where they still have sundown towns. Avoid them at all costs. So this one Chris liked. If you have to pass through at night, make sure you have a full tank of gas so you don't have to stop in the sundown town. Yeah, keep moving. We've had problems here. Did you know that Dayton, Ohio is a sundown town? And yet Mays, to this day, lives there, I hear.
To this day!
If she is to be believed. Hake in his Mickey Mouse voice. Hi, I'm Mickey Mouse. I'm also a black lady. Pretending not to be, threatening. When road tripping, every black person knows not to stop in a rural area for gas or number one break, if you can help it, especially at night. I know someone whose child actually wet their pants because they are driving through a sundown town and they weren't going to risk it. They always tell these secondhand stories. I'm a black woman relatively new to mostly white neighborhood. And anyway, like blacks kill more than twice as many whites as vice versa. You know that. Even though they're 13% of the population, that makes them like 25 or like 50 times, something like that, more likely to kill you compared to a white possibility of killing a black. I'm a black woman relatively new to mostly white neighborhood. When I walk for exercise, I always walk in the middle of the street, not too close to houses on either side. I wear reflective gear and avoid staring too closely at any of the houses. I often think of Ahmaud Arbery when I'm walking. What a mess. You mean that crook who definitely did not stay close to the middle of the street except when he was trying to get away, because he went into a house that he did not belong in. Hey, get out of here. What are you doing here? And he's darted out. Blah, 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 blah. Who grabbed a gun, punched the guy, get out of the street. B word? I'm a 50-year-old black man who lives in a 98% white neighborhood. Heaven! You should be thankful. I do not go for walks alone, ever. I do not trust the level of suspicion that white residents would have regarding my presence. How does he know that they would have that? For example, when kids of color visit our neighborhood to door-to-door sales, someone usually posts their presence in our neighborhood association Facebook page. So at least I make sure I am walking my dog, or better yet, walking with my spouse. Anonymous. The bitterness, the projection. I was taught to be an overachiever. And they're shamelessly posting this and promoting it on Yahoo News. Yahoo is right. Yahoo is right. Propping this up as though this is a good thing. This is like gonna convince whites, oh, you poor blacks. They actually think that this is gonna be like, maybe some females are gonna sympathize with this. Perhaps the far left females at TheSkimm are reading this from BuzzFeed and being like, oh, you poor black people. Terrible. I was taught to be an overachiever because no one expects a black woman to be smart and well-spoken. I'm not expected to have a voice in anything. Well, you shouldn't. And many are shocked when I do. They're astounded when I can verbalize my thoughts and opinions in multi-syllable words. Blacks in their multi-syllable words, oftentimes misused multi-syllable words. Am I right? It's true. Melanin and ovaries do not cancel out intelligence and reason. But you don't have either. Never ever, this is number 9, put your hands in your pockets while walking around a store. You do not want to give them a reason to follow you around or call the police. Your hands need to be visible at all times. These are anonymous. And yet they're being promoted in Yahoo News and BuzzFeed News to tell the whites, hey, these are the 25 unwritten rules that black people have to follow that you don't even know about. Feel sorry for them. bow down and lick the boots like that Chick-fil-A CEO who shined the shoes of that dumb black rapper propaganda. No, it wasn't propaganda. It was a slightly bigger rapper. Not Teray. Lecrae. Something like that. Some dumb guy. Dan Cathy. Ugh. No, these blacks shamelessly like bring their backpacks into the store and like carry more than what they can handle, and they shamelessly walk out. But okay, yeah, don't put your hands in your pockets. Let me see your hands. As a black man, never get into an elevator with a woman alone. Always wait for the next one. Fine. Also, don't, 20,000 rapes in a year. Just saying. It's alleged rapes, right? Alleged sexual assaults. They've downgraded sexual assaults. And versus 0 white on black. 20,000 black on white versus 0 white on black. They stopped counting after 2008 because that's when Obama and Eric Holder got into office. Something I know I have to be careful of in public as a person with mixed white and black. Mixed with white and black. This guy's mixed, right? Person. Remembering which parent I'm with and how to act. This is called code switching. I have to make sure I act okay so I'm not labeled as ghetto with my mom or whitewashed with my dad. Mixing the races leads to that confusion. And especially when you take on a black mindset of projecting your own insecurity and judgment of others onto others, thinking that they're judging you. The real Tim Scott, not to be confused with the Rhino, says, Chick-fil-A is a bit bland. I could do without eating there. Same here, man. Same here. No matter how cold or windy it is, my hood stays off and my earphones stay off my ears. Wow. An upstanding black. Wow. Good. Good for you. As a black, because a lot of them wear hoods, right? Trayvon Martin was wearing the hood. And that's the only reason that George Zimmerman chased him and killed him in cold blood. Fake news. As a black man who loves hip-hop, I often have to censor the music that I listen to so I won't be judged as a thug. As a black man, if there is a white woman in line, you stand far enough back so you cannot touch her by mistake or be accused of touching her. Yeah, those white women will accuse. Knowing that I'll be followed and when shopping in high-end stores, I have product-related questions prepared when they invariably ask me if I need assistance. Replying with no thank you, I'm just browsing makes the suspicion jump, and suddenly I have an unofficial entourage. I'm a college-educated black man about to turn 40, but I still have to play these sorts of silly games. It can be very exhausting. You don't sound like a man calling that exhausting. Enjoy the entourage. You coward. As a black woman who works a swing shift and gets off of work at 11 p.m., I will not take off my badge until I get inside my garage. I need a layer of protection to prove I'm not up to no good in case I get pulled over. Black women. When meeting with executives or high-ranking officials, their appropriate attire would be business casual for others. I wear full business attire. If I dress more formally, I receive more eye contact, head nodding, and enthusiasm with conversations. This happens consistently. That probably works across the board with how you dress. I'd probably do better if I wore a suit, but whatever. Are you tired yet? I'm getting tired. There's like 4 more to go. I'm tired. Let's get to a couple of super chats and then some other stuff. Callers and things. Brandon M. says, if these blacks are truly scared, why are they still living in these neighborhoods where the whites could form a lynch mob if you walk too close to the driveway? These fantasy worlds are truly amazing. It's like a porn genre at this point. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Single Mom gave a super chat over there on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. So feminists want to destroy gender stereotypes and shame women who choose to be housewives, but totally embrace a man cross-dressing, and pretending to be stereotypical traditional woman? TERFs are a major minority, by the way. Yeah, they are. Cross-dresser. Oh my gosh. Yeah, very true, single mom. They want to destroy the gender stereotypes, but then this Dylan Mulvaney, who dresses up like a stereotypical female, traditional woman, they celebrate that guy because they love when men humiliate themselves. It's a love-hate thing. What a mess, huh? So sick. Let me get to a first-time caller, Kevin in Florida. Kevin, how are you doing?
Hey, James, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You're good, huh? Wow.
All is well. All is
nice.
Well. So I wanted to talk to you about being an American in today's society, and in particular here in America, where I've noticed that people aren't proud of being American anymore. You know, well, I think it's like we've been so divided lately, and this whole media narrative and this kind of society really, it's mainly been a lot of the Gen Z and millennials that have been pushing this whole kind of like anti-American hate. You know, I was born here in America. I was born here in America. I come from Mexican parents. You know, I have Mexican blood in me, but I don't consider myself to be a Mexican. I consider myself to be an American, you know? And I've noticed that when I hang around my so-called colored friends, Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, they don't call themselves American. They call themselves, you know, Mexican American, or they call themselves Asian Americans, or
how old are they?
Other crap they want to, like in 20s, in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And you know, people just go and say they're Mexican American and stuff like that. And I'll get asked at my job or somewhere, hey, what are you? And I'm like, what do you mean? Where are you from? I'm like, America. No, like, what ethnicity, what race are you? American. And people are like, you know, they don't want to, they're like, oh, no, you're like Hispanic, or I'm like, well, you know, I come from Mexican parents, but I'm American. And it's just like this whole push about not wanting to be American right now is just really like confusing. You know what I mean? Like the whole media narrative that's being pushed, like hate cops, hate America, hate the flag, kneel for the flag, disrespect the troops, disrespect everything that we know to be right, is just like fully being pushed on the kids, the youth, everybody. And it's just hard, just like, you know, and I see why people are embarrassed to be American, because people hate you for being American in today's society, in today's America.
I think what it is they want to alienate and separate and hate the white from and hate the white people. Separate from and hate the white people, and because American used to mean like white. I remember this Mexican guy in my school. He was actually a Boy Scout. He said, "You're American." I'm like, whoa. I thought that it just meant like I was white, but he called me American. And that used to mean white, but if you are a Black or a Hispanic calling yourself American and distinguishing yourself from the so-called Hispanic American or Mexican American, or just say, oh, I'm Mexican, even though you're born in America under the jurisdiction of America, then that is seen as aligning with the whites against the Blacks or against the Hispanics, when in reality it's the Hispanics and Blacks and Asians and everybody else against the whites. And then there are other whites who are against the whites. And it's against like the best part of America. So it's funny, you don't even sound like you have Hispanic background. You sound like you might be Black or white. Your accent.
Right, and actually before I wasn't like this, but because you're brought up kind of like hating, not told to hate America, not told to hate the white man, not told to hate America, but you're just kind of brought up thinking, okay, you came from immigrants and you were born here, but you live in a different culture, and so it's kind of like you just separate yourself from the beginning, like. You know what I mean? My parents came here to America for a better life, for good life for themselves and for their children. and they wanted to have the American dream, you know. But how are people going to come here to America and then hate it and then distinguish themselves away from it? And that's how it was in the beginning, where, like I said, people would ask me, like, I would be proud to be Mexican, but I've never been in Mexico. I've never stepped foot in Mexico.
Yeah.
I've never visited before. I don't plan on going there ever, because
Me neither.
I love America. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a Mexican. And I have family that's Mexican, and they like show their whole kind of like, they wave the Mexican flag and they're proud to be Mexican. I'm just like, well, if you're proud to be Mexican, go back to Mexico. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I was at a car wash last week, and, you know, after I get done washing my car, I step out to vacuum the inside, and I step out and I see this guy who's vacuuming his car, and he has this shirt on the back. It said, I think it had the American flag on it, and it said, if you're offended by this, I'll help you pack and leave. And that's 100% correct. So it's just, what we got to do is, we can't let these people that hate America, we know who they are, and try to tarnish us for being proud of being American, for being proud to have these rights and to be able to speak up and defend ourselves and everything that we know is right. We just can't let them divide us. We just have to stick to our roots. And if they want to, you know, keep on pushing that stuff, go ahead. But we can't succumb to their level and be divided. You know, that's all we got to do right now. And that's what a lot of people still feel, because, like I said, the whole youth today is really kind of like afraid to voice themselves, being like conservative or being, you know, patriotic, or especially the young folk. I've noticed that, like, if you have a Trump flag, or if you even support Trump, you're kind of like definitely they start throwing those words, racist, conservative, you know what I mean? Like white supremacists, all that stuff that doesn't exist, and they just really want you to switch over to their side. Everything is good if you succumb to their level and if you do what they want. But if you're opposite to what they want, you're seen as, you know, just complete opposite. And that's what's happening right now. And both people are being played. So you got to stand up for what's right. We know what's right. We know what is right. And it's just, you know, it's just sickening seeing this country being, you know, going down to this level. It's really, really frustrating.
You know, but you have to expect evil to be evil. It's evil's job to be evil, and it's the job of the people who are suckers of that to be suckers. So don't let it bother you. And as shameless as they are with being evil, we be shameless with being for what's right and shame them back, because they are the ones who should be ashamed of themselves, not us. And you can be patient with them and not be frustrated, and that could be powerful, you know, because for one, you're unshakable then, and because you know you're right, you have confidence, meaning you're with God, and they are the ones who are shaken by your existence, your presence.
Yep.
How old are you?
Yep. I'm 21.
Okay, nice, man. Are you in the military or anything like that?
No. I never wouldn't say anything like that. I'm just someone who knows what's right.
Nice.
Someone who isn't afraid to voice their opinion, who doesn't care what they think. You know, we all just, you know, live our life, walk in the spirit of God, and just, we know what's right. We say what's right. We don't get angry, but we do speak up.
Yeah.
We don't let anger control ourselves. Like Jesse says, we don't let anger control ourselves, but we do speak up and we say something.
Yeah.
We know what's right. That's all we can do right now. That's all we can do.
That's cool, man. How'd you find Jesse in my show?
I started listening to Jesse before a few months ago when he came on InfoWars.
Oh,
and
nice.
Ever since then, I've been listening to Jesse daily, and he says a lot of good stuff. I really like listening. So, thanks, James. Appreciate the call, man.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Take care. That's cool. You know, I was looking at the Odyssey chat over there. Brandon M says, kind of sad, kind of scary how these blacks who have these rules for themselves when they're in their conduct around white people. Oh, these scary white people. It's kind of sad that it's so scary that you'd still live with these monsters, these white racist monsters instead of your own kind, right? Yeah, I know, exactly. LeBron James lives in so much fear he keeps constantly moving to whiter areas. He was scared of those fake swastikas, taking care of businesses, spray painted on his mansions. Was there swastikas spray painted on his mansions too? I know that they spray painted, allegedly, the N-word on his gate, although we never saw. Did we ever see a photo of this alleged N-word? Did they spell it all the way out with the ER? Hopefully. Or was it he himself, or was it never? Did it never even happen? Being black in America, it's tough. Give me a break. Excuse me, I had to drink a little bit of water. My throat's a little scratchy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Shameful. LeBron James. LeBron James, the tennis player. Let me get to Denise, a first-time caller out of... LeBron James. A first-time caller. That scared me. Not that the little black boy is going to scare me, but just surprise me. Denise, first-time caller out of California. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah. Thanks for holding. What's up?
I have a question for you. My sister is pregnant out of wedlock, and they're hosting a baby shower for her this weekend. My question is, should I go to the baby shower and speak up without anger, or just not go?
Oh.
And show...
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
I don't know. You know your situation more than I do, because you're there, and you know your relationship with your sister, right? And you know what people are going to be around there. And I hadn't considered going and saying something. My inclination is not to go at all, but I have no idea. You definitely should do what you see to do, because you're in that situation. Are you married at all? Are you married yourself?
Yes.
Oh, you are? Oh, what did your husband say? Did you ask him?
Yeah, we just kind of talk about it. I guess he's having a wait and see attitude. And I said, whatever you decide, we'll do it that day.
Oh, cool. Is he invited to the baby? Nowadays, they're inviting men to baby showers too. Is he invited to the two?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's his sister. It's my sister-in-law.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's really not even your decision. It's your husband's decision. Yeah. Whatever he's up for doing, you guys should just go with that. But keep your eyes peeled. I don't know what type of people may be there. It could get hairy. My inclination would be not to go to talk to her. Maybe talk to her privately, or if you want to be public about it. I don't know if you've spoken with her about it already, about your disagreement with it. It seems kind of wrong to ambush her there in public if you haven't already addressed her between now and then.
That makes sense.
Chris says don't go talk to her like that.
Don't go?
He says don't go. Yeah, don't go talk to her like that, and making a scene at a party, even though it's an ill-advised party. It seems kind of messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should deal with it on the spot, or your husband, since it's his sister, should be the one to point out that she should be ashamed of herself, not celebrating this thing.
I agree. That's great advice. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Cool. Let me know how it goes or whatever. I'm curious. I'm curious what happens later. So,
yeah, because we didn't know if we should go to just be in quiet support of it.
Definitely
or just not go because we don't agree.
Yeah, it's not something to celebrate at all. And nowadays, I've known Christian young women who are never even had sex out of wedlock, but because of that people pleasing or it's the wrong time and place, they will say congrats to Britney Spears for getting pregnant out of wedlock with this younger man. News came out recently, right? So women are kind of weak in that way, but they're also out of line when they try to correct the person sometimes. So, yeah.
All right.
Cool, Denise. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Brandon M says, caller wants to interfere in family business, but it hasn't changed her low smoke detector battery. Oh, I didn't notice any beeps in the background. I maybe can kind of picture there might have been a beep. Picture it with my ears and my imagination. That's that aphantasia. Thinking back. Let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. Wants to talk more about Biden and the student loan debt. How are you doing, Rick, in Hampton, Virginia?
James, what's going on, my brother?
Nothing much. Having a loosey-goosey Friday show.
Man, shoot. What do you think about this student debt, man? Biden's trying to... I'm against it myself, but I just want to get your take on it, because I'm like this. If you forgive these student debt, what about the ones that were responsible, that paid their bill?
I know. Yeah, I've heard that.
I'd be screaming.
Yeah, it's... First of all, they should never have gone to the school in the first place if they couldn't pay it off up front. Second of all, the government has no business subsidizing schools because these subsidized schools only makes these schools more expensive. When you subsidize anything you subsidize, it gets more expensive. I learned that from Eagle Forum. The great, I'm blanking on her name, I can't remember. But the lady who founded Eagle Forum, Phyllis Schlafly, she pointed that out. She's gone now, she died. But third of all, the schools are brainwashing the people. Everything is wrong about it. Everything is wrong about it. And the students were, understandably, they were minors when they were brainwashed, right? All throughout high school, people are brainwashed to, oh, you're supposed to go to school. But no, not necessarily. And then the parents are suckers as well. So it's like a whole mess of wrong people and wrong things. And it seems, I don't know where I stand on this, on the student loan debt. They should be made to pay back. Maybe they should become slaves or something. I mean, effectively, they are debt slaves for a long time.
Exactly.
But we need to close down schools and stuff like that.
Because I know, too. I'm like, hey, if you forgive theirs, then the other students going to say, hey, man, I paid my man.
Yeah. Right. It's unfair, and that's typical of the liberals to support the irresponsible and then punish the responsible. You know what I mean? It's so wrong, in my opinion. But that's the bribery. They created the crisis, and now they're swooping in with this false solution as if this money is just going to go away. And they've like frozen payments. So these deadbeat renters who don't pay their rent, the deadbeat student loan borrowers who don't pay their student loans, and then meanwhile the people who are landowners, landlords, they're suffering, except for BlackRock and people like them. What a shame. I appreciate it, Rick. It's good to hear from you. Thank you, man. His phone went silent on me. What a mess. There was something else I wanted to cover. Oh, yeah. Another fake story, in my opinion, out of Minneapolis Police Department. This is from Yahoo again. Investigation of Minneapolis police that was launched after Florida's alleged killing. It was really an overdose death, in my opinion. My unprofessional or non-medical expert opinion. Florida overdosed, in my opinion. But they say he was killed. Investigation into MPD, Minneapolis Police Department, determined the department engaged in a pattern of race discrimination. Discrimination. Please. And that's from the Department of so-called Human Rights report. Is that the feds? That doesn't sound like the feds. Oh, that's the state. The Minnesota State Department of so-called Human Rights, communist buzzword, released the findings of its investigation into the city of Minneapolis and its police department Wednesday morning this week, finding a pattern of race-based discrimination over the past decade. This reminds me of what Eric Holder did as the Department of so-called Justice to the city of Ferguson, the Ferguson Police Department, Ferguson, Missouri, where Mike Brown got himself killed because he attacked the innocent officer. What's the innocent officer's name? He was smeared so badly. Wilson. I'm blanking on his name. Maybe it starts with a D. Wilson. Darren Wilson, I think. You know, the gentle giant Mike Brown walking in the middle of the street so as not to be imposing. No, he was trying to be imposing. He was trying to be obnoxious. With his cigarillos, were they flavored cigarillos? Were they strawberry or grape or bubblegum flavored cigarillos? Swisher Sweets? To roll up into blunts filled with pot. What a mess. Aspiring SoundCloud rapper Mike Brown. Graduate of high school Mike Brown. Gonna go to college Mike Brown. But instead, he didn't get out of the street for Officer Darren Wilson, who said, hey, get the blank out of the street. And instead, he grabbed the gun, tried to shoot him with the gun, shot through his thumb at some point, rained down heavy blows upon white officer Darren Wilson, whatever. And this gentle giant started charging like a bear. Like he raised his hands for a second, and then he started charging, and then he got shot and killed. And then they found that nothing was wrong with Darren Wilson, but they found disproportionate black discrimination, only they didn't really, in the Ferguson, Missouri. And there were multiple stories that came out from, what's that guy's name? John R. Lott Jr., Dr. John R. Lott Jr., PhD, in New York Post. And even this rhino guy who went to the New York Slimes, Jewish so-called conservative writer, Brett Stevens or something like that, one of those guys, wrote an article called Ferguson Lies and Statistics over in Wall Street Journal, the rhino outlet. And they basically debunked this whole Ferguson report pertaining to the Ferguson Police Department and the city of Ferguson was oppressing its... What percentage of Ferguson, Missouri, which is outside of St. Louis, Missouri, is black? Like hugely percentage black. And even compared to their percentage of the population that's black, they're not even as discriminated against as the whole rest of the country. So they're saying the same thing about Minneapolis Police Department. Only because of basically blacks get themselves into trouble more. That's effectively what it is. I'm surmising, right? Without even looking at it, because I don't have to look at it. Minnesota Department of Human Rights finds the city of Minneapolis and Minneapolis Police Department engage in a pattern and practice. They always use that word. A pattern and practice of race discrimination in violation of the Minnesota Human Rights Act. They should get rid of that Human Rights Act. It's stupid. They pretend that Officer Derek Chauvin, quote unquote, murdered George Floyd, but we all know that that was a kangaroo court. It was not a just decision. Human Rights Commissioner is a woman, Rebecca Lucero, said MNDHR, Department of Human Rights, launched the investigation after demands to end any discriminatory policing practices reverberated across the world. They looked at the last 10 years. Give me a break. Give me a break. And no, I don't want a piece of that Kit Kat bar, because Kit Kat's disgusting, in my opinion. So anyway, I had to share that briefly with you. It's phony. But guys, we are at the end of the hour. This has been the Hake Report, a very loosey-goosey Friday show. And no Fallen State today, but check out Nick's stream. I don't have any upcoming appearances to announce at this point for Hake. But check Nick's stream without any distractions. Callers, I cannot get to you. Enjoy your weekend and catch church with Jesse Lee Peterson. It's always excellent. Thanks, guys, and take care.